You mentioned about your earlier days and sort of the passion that you had with space itself. Maybe perhaps, I mean, at the time we had so many shows like Star Trek, original series, and so on. There was just such a hype for it. How do you feel the future ended up panning out from when you were younger and your expectations to what actually happened?
Well, I'd say they exceeded everybody's expectations when we launched Alan Shepard on a 15-minute suborbital flight in 1961 with no other experience than one human suborbital. And yet 8 years later, and I'll show these videos, 8 years later, Neil Armstrong's launching to land on the moon. 8 years later. That's an amazing accomplishment. What we focused on, NASA has focused on now for the last 30 years, is low Earth orbit. So I'm very proud of the space station. We'll talk some about the space station, but we are just now getting primed to go deeper in space with a rocket called the Space Launch System, SLS. Will be the biggest rocket ever launched, and it will take humans to Mars. First launch will be in 2 years. It won't have people on board. I don't want people to get primed to think we're going to Mars in 2 years. We're not, but we're launching the SLS rocket in 2 years from the Kennedy Space Center to prove its capability, and then hopefully a year or two later we will have astronauts on board that will begin the magnificent destination of going to Mars. A very complicated task technologically. I mean, it is a 3-year mission. It's a 3-year round-trip mission to Mars. And right now, we've never had an astronaut in space longer than 1 year at a time. So last year, Scott Kelly was up for 1 full year. So it's a big challenge, a technological challenge, but one that I think our country's excited about, and I believe we're going to make it happen.